Welcome to ILTV's Independence Day special. I'm Natasha Kirchuk, and coming up in today's newscast, it's time to celebrate the birth of the nation, so get ready to party as long as you stay at home. Israel's President Rivlin makes a very special home visit. And finally, stay tuned for a look at how the nation has changed in the 72 years since its founding. Happy Israeli Independence Day, my friends. Israel is certainly celebrating its 72nd birthday in a unique way this year, since nobody is allowed to party. But remember, it's supposed to be in the public good. After all, part of aging well is staying healthy. And the more we socially distance, the more we'll be able to stem the spread of the coronavirus. Now, as you know, Israel has been on full lockdown today. Intercity travel has been banned, and Israelis have been expected to avoid any non-essential local journeys. Public transportation has also been suspended, and even food stores have been shuttered until tonight. Now, the lockdown has been in place until 8 p.m. That's 1 p.m. Eastern Time. But let's hear some good news. First off, how much has the Israeli population grown since last year? Well, you're going to want to hear this. Israel's population has hit almost 9.2 million people on the country's 72nd birthday. That's an increase of around 171,000 people over just the last 12 months, a population growth rate of 1.9%. So what is the population breakdown? Well, 74% of the country, or 6.8 million people, are Jewish, 1.93 million, or 21%, are Arab, and 454,000 people are either non-Arab Christians, those of other faiths, or are registered without religious classification. Well, what about the babies, you ask? Well, in the last year, 180,000 babies have been born. In terms of people, 44,000 have passed away. And has aliyah, or immigration, to the state of Israel been rising? Well, the answer is yes. 32,000 people immigrated to the country within the 71st year of Israel's existence, making the total amount of people who have immigrated to the Jewish state rise to 3.3 million since its founding. Now, 78% of Israel's current population has been born in the country, compared to 22% who were born abroad. So how much is Israel's population expected to grow in the coming years? Well, Israel's Central Bureau of Statistics predicts that the population will reach 11.1 million by 2030, 13.2 million by 2040, and finally 15.2 million by 2048. That would be Israel's 100th birthday. Now, one of the best ways to celebrate Israel is to travel around this beautiful country, but because of the coronavirus crisis, that isn't exactly possible this year. So we're going to break down the most important locations in Israel surrounding the history and establishment of the nation. And joining us now is tour guide Anat Harel. So where are we headed first, Anat?
Well, on our whirlwind tour of Israel, we are going to start at the Paris Center for Peace and Innovation in Tel Aviv, Jaffa. And in this hour-and-a-half tour, you're going to get a wonderful background of what makes Israel so miraculous, so amazing, and all the challenges that we are trying to deal with in the country. It's a great place to start. After that, I suggest we go to the very beginnings of the city of Tel Aviv, cornerstone, the cornerstone of the first Jewish city, modern city in 1909. All right, and that street corner is very close to where the Independence Hall is, where David Ben-Gurion declared the founding of the state on May 14th, 1948. And then from there in Tel Aviv, we stay in Tel Aviv for one more. We go to Rabin Square. Now, Rabin Square is the place where if you have anything to protest, that is where you want to be. And on this spot, in November 4th of 1995, happened one of the most seminal events in the history of Israeli society, the assassination of our Prime Minister, Yitzhak Rabin. That place is huge, very, very important if you want to really understand Israeli society.
Absolutely.
Okay. We also go to a place called the Ayalon Institute. The Ayalon Institute is where a number of youngsters gathered. They were supposed to go in 1945 to found a kibbutz, but they were diverted for a very, very important national project. Underground, they constructed a place where they built a bullet factory. And this bullet factory, they built over 2 million bullets that helped us in winning our independence war in 1948, a favorite among the tourists that I take. From the center of Israel, we head up north towards the Galilee. In the Galilee, where you will encounter 50% Israeli Arabs, 50% Israeli Jews, we go to Kibbutz Degania. Kibbutz Degania is where another group of youngsters in 1908 started to work in a place. They decided to change the world by becoming a commune and sharing everything. And they were the drive that started the kibbutz movement. Okay, this kibbutz movement today, up until today, we have over 270 kibbutzim in the country. They're only 40% of the population, but is the only place in the world where socialism really has worked in small communities. An amazing, amazing place. In the north of Israel, I also recommend going up to the Golan Heights. On the Golan Heights, there is a spot called Mount Bental on top of a volcano. And at this spot, you can see Lebanon, you can see Syria, you can see Jordan. It's a wonderful place to talk about the geopolitics of the whole Middle East, talk about military history, about geopolitics, about culture, and about the Druze, who are part of a very strong part of Israel. An amazing, amazing place. And then I recommend driving down through the West Bank, through the Jordan Valley, to Jerusalem. In Jerusalem, there are two spots that are really important if you want to understand Israeli society. One of them is called the Mount of Remembrance, Mount Herzl. Half the mountain is the Holocaust Memorial Museum. It's called Yad Vashem, all right? And the other half of the mountain is the Arlington Cemetery of Israel. It's Mount Herzl Military Cemetery. And this mountain serves for us Israelis as a reminder, first of all, to remind ourselves that 6 million Jews were murdered without a country to run to escape to. And then the other half of the mountain reminds us of the sacrifices that our soldiers have done in order for us to live in this democracy and in this free country. And the last spot in Jerusalem on this whirlwind tour is, of course, the old city of Jerusalem. Because the old city of Jerusalem marks the place where it all began. The place where King David, 3,000 years ago, marks Jerusalem as his capital and begins the commitment of the Jewish people to Jerusalem as its capital. And today you can walk around the old city of Jerusalem, visiting the Christian sites, because Jerusalem, the place where Jesus died and resurrected, is so important for Christianity. Visiting the Temple Mount, which is the third holiest place in the world for Muslims as well. And so Jews, Christian, Muslims, the old city of Jerusalem, you can't miss that at all. Amazing. So on this whirlwind tour of Israel, you get a little bit of everything, a little bit of culture, history, archaeology, and there you go.
Wow, Anat, that was absolutely amazing. I don't think any of our viewers are going to feel the need to even travel to Israel because you explained everything so well. But what I do know is that when flights start opening up again, when the airport opens up, I think you're going to have a lot of guests coming to visit you specifically.
Please come and visit us. Please come and visit us.
All right, thank you so much. All right, now if you're a bit bummed you can't invite anybody over to your house to celebrate Independence Day here in Israel, there is one very special individual who's willing to take the jump. Israeli President Rivlin is wishing locals a happy holiday by coming to their living rooms, just not in the way that you'd expect.
אהלן, מה נשמע? תודה שהזמנתם אותי לבקר אתכם בצורה בטוחה. איך אתם חוגגים את יום העצמאות? אני זוכר את יום העצמאות הראשון, היום שבו הונף דגל ישראל הראשונה לראש התורן.
All right, if you're still confused, that's a hologram of the Israeli president that you can access through your very own phone. You just go to President Rivlin's Facebook page, and there's a link that allows you to download Rivlin right into your house using augmented reality. And you can adjust his size using 2 fingers so that he'll fit right in. And he's clearly excited to be hanging out with you because he even poses for a selfie at the end.
אולי נעשה סלפי, אבל לא הבאתי מצלמה, אז קדימה. בואו נצטלם יחד, ואל תשכחו לחייך. אז 3, 4, ו...
President Rivlin's acting is on point, but honestly, technology is crazy. You know, we were playing around with this program in the office to our heart's content. We just couldn't get over how weird it was to see him hanging out nearby, and I cannot wait to see how this tech is used in the future. Imagine being able to video chat with your friends using a hologram. All right. Clearly, I'm getting carried away, so moving on. Even though Israelis are on lockdown this Independence Day, ILTV's Nittany Manson decided to hit the streets of Tel Aviv to see what locals are celebrating this year. And it's pretty intriguing. Check this out.
What is the greatest achievement you think Israel has made in the last year?
The way we handled Corona?
Fighting against the coronavirus.
They managed to have government, so finally.
What is the thing that makes you the most proud to be Israeli?
The community, the warm, we are so warm to each other. We're like a big family because we have a very small country.
Most of people here are warm.
Everyone's nice.
The Israeli culture, I think that when you go abroad to like another country and you see another Israeli, then there's a lot of warmth and like we help each other.
The unity in Israel, people love each other and they support each other, especially when there is troubles and chaos.
The way the Israeli people care for each other is something to be proud of.
Barbecue. Come on, על האש.
If you have one wish for Israel for the next year?
To be in peace with all the world.
We should learn to accept people from different areas, like the Orthodox and the non-religious people should accept each other more.
Try to be less racist sometime. Yeah. Cool.
נחזור לים.
אהבה ושלום.
I hope that they'll be able to have a parade and the corona will be over.
Amazing, me too. What about you?
Same.
Peace and happiness. That's it.
כשמגיע יום העצמאות אני מרגיש הכי ישראלי שיכול להיות. אני אוהב את המדינה שלי, ואני אוהב לחיות במדינה שלי. וכיף לי במדינה הזאת. ואני אוהב גם את הישראלים, ואותכם אני אוהב מאוד מאוד.
What's your favorite thing about being Israeli? And what about your biggest hope for Israel?
All right, well, I'm really excited about our next piece. My first experience ever living in Israel was in a kibbutz, actually the one that you're about to see. A kibbutz is a special collective community that's unique only to Israel. Kibbutzim have been around since 1909, and they're known for pioneering the state, but I don't want to give too much away, so here's the real breakdown of what it's like to live in a modern-day socialist community. There are some who claim that a real utopia exists, and it's located right here in Israel. It's called a kibbutz. This is Kibbutz Ramat Yochanan, one of 275 collective communities throughout Israel. In other words, members share ownership of everything.
My house is his house, your car is my car, and your wife is
My wife.
They sustain a socialist lifestyle, which means that everybody makes the same amount of money no matter what they do for a living. But money is no object because these communities promise that you'll have everything that you could possibly desire. So how does it work?
In Kibbutz Ramat Yochanan, we have about 480 members.
We all make around 5,000 shekels a month, whether we're doctors, farmers, teachers, whatever.
Well, that and about another 1,000 for each kid a family may have. That may not sound like much, but almost everything you need is covered by the kibbutz.
We don't pay rent for our houses. We don't pay any bills. We don't have municipality taxes. Anytime we have a problem with our house, any kind of repair we need, the kibbutz takes care of it.
Our health care is completely covered by the kibbutz, including a dentist, and if needed, a psychologist.
We don't need to pay for nursery or preschool because the kibbutz has it for free from 3 months and up.
We're now 17. I'll get my own apartment, totally covered by the kibbutz.
cool, right?
And if I want to go to college, my parents don't have to worry about it.
I know what you're thinking. He's probably going to need a ride.
That's not a problem. Here we have about 100 cars, and we can take which car we want, and we can drive wherever we want, and we don't even have to pay for the gas.
But what about food?
We have a kibbutz dining hall that serves breakfast and lunch every day.
And we even have dinners on Fridays.
Plus, the leftovers go to charities.
It's like one big family meal, all the time.
For an average of 3 to 6 shekels a meal, the selection is pretty incredible. I mean, it's a buffet, so believe me, it tastes better than it looks. And don't forget, basically your entire backyard is a living, breathing feast. Want to go to the gym, the pool, play tennis, need a haircut or a facial? Want a daily professional laundry service? The kibbutz has all of that, and it's all for free. If you're a member, of course. So how do I sign up?
Not even the kids of members are actually true members until they decide. They have until the age of 30 to explore the outside world, and then if they want to come back, they have to be approved.
But if you're an outsider, well, you better get married to one of those children. But even then, you'll still have to live on the kibbutz for at least a year before the kibbutz decides if they like you enough. And there are lots of kibbutzim like Ramat Yochanan that are valued at hundreds of millions of shekels. Now, if you're wondering why that matters, it's kind of like having a community that's willing to invest in your passion. For example, if you want to open your own business, the kibbutz will finance it as long as you can prove that it's ultimately going to be profitable.
And not all kibbutz members have to work on the kibbutz. In fact, one of the kibbutz's biggest sources of income comes from the salaries of members who work as major executives outside. But don't get me wrong, kibbutzim like Ramat Yochanan have some extremely successful businesses themselves. In fact, kibbutzim as a whole account for 40% of Israel's agricultural output and 9% of the country's industrial turnout. Together, that's worth almost $10 billion.
The question is, are you willing to give up your capitalist lifestyle for this type of utopia?
Listen, we don't share Wi-Fi, yeah?
Thought it was
You
so
cannot
cool.
take.
So,
No, you cannot take my wife, his wife.
I thought everything is everybody's.
Almost everything.
Okay.
So what does Israeli Independence Day mean for those who have chosen to immigrate to Israel? Joining us now in the studio for our own little Independence Day party, Israeli snacks included, of course, is a special panel of olim, or new immigrants. To my left, we have Mike Hemi, who's originally from Toronto, Canada, and Eliana Neustadt, who's originally from Munich, Germany. And on the right, we have the lovely Ida Teitelbaum, who is originally from Moscow, Russia. And both Eliana and Ida work on the ILTV team, so this is very exciting for us. So now first, you know, the biggest question everybody always has for us as olim here is, why did you decide to immigrate to Israel, guys? How would you answer that? Why did you come here?
Well, I didn't choose. I came here when I was 9 with my family, so they kind of chose it for me.
And are you happy about it?
I am happy about it. I didn't have a choice, but I love it.
All right, we're gonna talk with you about what the differences were like, especially for a 9-year-old making that type of transition, because a lot of young kids, you know, go through exactly that experience. They don't make that choice on their own. But I know that you two came here a bit older, right?
I moved here officially 1.5 years ago, but I got my passport when I was 19 through my dad because he's Israeli. So I decided to come here.
And why though? What was it about Israel that stood out to you?
Well, I studied before. I studied here at the Bentromi, and I just love the people. I like the weather. I like if you come to Tel Aviv, you know.
Yeah,
why
everyone who comes from Munich, right? In terms of the weather.
For
Absolutely.
Sure. Definitely.
What about you? Also speaking of weather in Toronto, Canada.
It's very different. No, I moved here because my sister was about to give birth. I moved here 4 years ago, and I didn't want to be the uncle on the other side of the world, so I decided to move and be close to my niece. And then a few months later, my sister moved back to Canada, so I'm the uncle on the other side of the earth.
And you're not planning on going back?
Not anytime soon.
All right, so tell us a little bit about, what I'd like to know is what your experience has been like here. What is your favorite part about being in the state of Israel? And then we'll get to the not so favorite part. And I mean, maybe Ida, for you, having come here at such a young age, what do you remember standing out as being different?
Well, for sure the weather and the beach, that's always fun for a kid.
Yeah.
And it's a huge difference from Russia, where it's super cold. And
Right.
the food is great. The fact there's salad and fruits and everything. It's just so amazing to to be.
And I love how we chose literally all the most unhealthy Israeli snacks.
No,
There is
hummus is
hummus
just
here
as
and there is
amazing.
salad here. Okay, so food, weather. Yeah, the weather you can't beat it here. What about you guys? What other than weather?
For sure, the people, they're very warm compared to German people. Very warm, honest, can be also rude, which I like better than the polite
Well, up
German.
front, there's something honest in the chutzpah and the rudeness, right?
Exactly.
So you can appreciate it, right, Mike?
Kind of.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Coming from super polite Canada, where you apologize to anyone that you accidentally touch on the street.
Yeah.
I remember I was walking on the street here, and I bumped into somebody, and I turned back to say, excuse me, and they were already halfway down the block. They didn't even register that they even bumped into me.
What has been harder for you guys to adjust to? What has been more of an adjustment?
You know, the bank, and it takes forever, and I don't know.
Yeah.
So this is less efficient compared to Germany.
It's not always easy, but they do try and help you out at the end of the day.
Well, what I would say is that you also get to break the rules here a lot more often, though, than, you know, living in New York, everything's so... Before I came here, living in New York, everything was so structured. You know that if there's a rule, that's the rule, and it's not going to change. And here, people will bend that for the better and the worse, I think. Right?
Yeah, I was gonna say people here are much more casual when it comes to behavior and clothing. It's just so casual here.
Yeah,
and I
going to
like that
work.
actually.
All right, guys. So, what is your advice to somebody who's considering moving to Israel? What would you say to them?
I would probably say travel the country. See it. There's so much to see. There's so much different kinds of agriculture, and what happens in the north is different from the south. And as an Oleh, someone who made Aliyah and speaks English, it's really tempting to stay in Tel Aviv because everyone speaks English. It's really easy to do things, but there's so much more to see outside of Tel Aviv.
I agree.
And go see the rest of it. That's definitely one thing I would say.
I would say the same. What about you, Ida?
I would say from personal experience, something that I didn't do growing up is that I didn't talk to many Israelis. I stayed within my American bubble or Russian bubble community, and I wish I had more Israeli friends, people that I could talk to from different parts of Israel communities.
Yeah. Well, share in the cultural experience of being here.
So maybe Hebrew would help, like learning Hebrew helps.
Yeah, going to Ulpan, which I haven't done yet. Gonna have to work on that. What about you, Eliana?
I would definitely also say working on the Hebrew first because I didn't do that. So that's the first thing, and travel for sure. Yeah.
But that comes with time. I think. It's just being here, the more people you talk to, the more you're forced to...
go outside of your comfort zone and actually go out there and talk to Israelis. Don't stay in your bubble.
So the one thing that I didn't ask you guys, which is obviously essential, is what your favorite Israeli food is. Obviously, we have a lot of options here, and unfortunately, you're going to have to choose from the options that we have here. What do we have? We have hummus, falafel, bisli, which is, how do you even explain what bisli is? It's like a crunchy something or other. Yeah. You have chocolate. This is click. Who likes click?
I like click.
Awesome.
Click are great.
I'm not a fan of click
No,
personally.
click is great. The green package ones are really good.
Yeah, okay. ILTV green package next time. We have Israeli salad, the one healthy thing here, which is much more, I would say, demonstrative of the Israeli diet. Like, this is not, we don't just live on bamba. But what about the snacks? What do you recommend?
So my favorite is hummus and bamba, but hummus more.
Okay, that's fair. Mike?
I'm kind of a hummus guy too.
Everyone's going after the hummus.
Hummus and pita. Or take a falafel, dip it in the hummus. That's really good to me.
Yeah. I eat it with a spoon. What about you, Eliana?
I would also go for the falafel and the hummus.
Really?
For sure.
Really, guys?
For sure.
All right, well.
But if I have to, probably bisli. It's like a like TV snack.
Yeah, but it's one of those snacks that you just can't stop eating because it's so salty. Okay, finally, favorite word in Hebrew. Throw it out there. That's how we're going to end this.
I say stam a lot.
Okay, we're going to have to define these words afterwards.
Sababa. I say it all the time.
Cool. That's basically like cool.
Voila.
And voila, which is more of just like an emotion. Voila. Yeah,
that's why I don't speak.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. You're amazing. Really, just congratulations on moving here and doing this, being part of this experience. It's not easy. And if you've done it, then it means you're stronger. So happy Independence Day, everybody. Yay! All right, let's take a look at the weather forecast, even though we can't really go out anywhere. Today you can expect clear to partly cloudy skies and a low of about 53 or 12 degrees Celsius. And then tomorrow you can expect partly cloudy skies and a slight rise in temperatures to a high of 76 or 25 degrees Celsius. All right, that is it for today's news. For more news from ILTV, please like ILTV on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube and Roku TV pages. I'm Natasha Kirchak, and thanks for watching.